It started as whispers, a few people sleeping under bridges, families vanishing from rented homes overnight. But the silence didn't last. What began as isolated disappearances has exploded into a nationwide tragedy. Across China, tens of thousands have become invisible, not because they broke the law, but because an algorithm said they did. This is the dark side of China's social credit system, a digital prison built without walls. For years, state media praised it as a system of trust, a way to reward honesty and discipline. In reality, it's a scoring machine that tracks your every move, your spending, your friends, your posts, even your thoughts. One mistake, one overdue payment, one careless comment, and your digital score drops. And when it drops, life itself begins to shut down. No travel, no housing, no bank access. Your phone payment apps lock. Your ID flashes red. Your name appears on the national blacklist. At first, people believed it only targeted criminals. But when China's economy began to crumble, the net widened. Suddenly, anyone in debt, anyone late on taxes, anyone who dared to speak up was branded untrustworthy. In cities like Chengdu and Wuhan, landlords received quiet warnings: do not rent to low-score individuals. Overnight, entire families were evicted. WeChat and Alipay stopped working. Survival became impossible. Under bridges and highways, tent cities began to appear, filled with former teachers, engineers, and office clerks whose only crime was losing digital points. In Beijing, underpasses along the Fourth Ring Road have turned into zones of exile. Volunteers who bring food are interrogated by police. Even homeless shelters reject those whose biometric IDs mark them as credit offenders. One viral clip shows a middle-aged woman crying as her phone flashes red. Dishonest citizen. She once owned a small factory. When it went bankrupt, her score collapsed. Her landlord forced her out. Now, she sleeps in an abandoned bus stop with her grandchildren. Official media pretends none of this exists. But videos keep resurfacing. Police trucks clearing bridge camps, officers erasing faces from camera feeds. Hashtags like #LifeWithoutQR and #Forgotten Citizens appear on Weibo, trend for hours, then vanish. Behind the censorship lies fear that the public will realize the truth. China has created a new underclass, erased not by war or famine, but by data. Amnesty International calls it a modern exile, where punishment is not prison, but deletion. Even helping the blacklisted can cost you. In Guangzhou, a construction worker lent his charger to a homeless man. Days later, his own score dropped, labeled association with untrustworthy individuals. His words went viral before being deleted. Kindness is dangerous now. Some provinces now run so-called rehabilitation zones, where low-score citizens must perform labor to regain points. Locals call them digital labor camps, places where broken people rebuild the very system that broke them. What's unfolding is more than social control. It's algorithmic punishment, a quiet, efficient way to erase those who don't fit the model of obedience. And across China, the erased are multiplying. China's system is unraveling faster than anyone imagined. The economy is stalling, debts are exploding, and trust has collapsed. Every week, more names vanish into the government's blacklist, erased not by crime, but by code. One user wrote before vanishing online, "In China, you don't get evicted for missing rent. You disappear because the system decides you're unworthy." What was once praised as a model of digital order has become a living nightmare. The silent deletion: how China's system turned its own citizens into digital ghosts. Behind China's growing wave of the digitally erased lies a story few dare to tell. Not one of sudden tragedy, but of quiet engineering. The people vanishing from the country's digital grid aren't victims of chance. They are casualties of a system designed to control every heartbeat, every transaction, every thought that strays too far from obedience. Three invisible engines power this erasure: algorithmic punishment, economic decay, and ideological control. Together, they've built a nation where being disconnected isn't a metaphor. It's a sentence. The so-called social credit system was never about building trust. It was about replacing conscience with code. On paper, it rewards honesty. In reality, it enforces silence. Every click, payment, and message feeds the machine. A few lost points and your world collapses. No train tickets, no rentals, no bank access. A glitch in the algorithm can turn an ordinary citizen into an unperson overnight. And once erased, there's no appeal. The system doesn't forgive. It forgets you. What began as a digital experiment in morality has become automated exile. In modern China, losing your score means losing your existence. Then came the economic unraveling, the second force. The empire built on construction cranes and debt is crumbling, factories slow, apartments stand empty, millions default on loans they never had a chance to repay. For small business owners, one missed payment can freeze every account they own. When the system labels them dishonest, it doesn't stop there. Their families are punished too. Parents evicted, children expelled, a digital death sentence disguised as financial reform. Beijing's answer to this crisis isn't aid, it's surveillance. Poverty is no longer seen as a misfortune, it's treated as a defect. The message is simple. If you're poor, you must have failed the party. China has turned destitution into disobedience and data into judgment. But the most terrifying force isn't the economy or the algorithm. It's the ideology behind them. The belief that control is compassion, that order is worth more than empathy. Under this doctrine, people are sorted into the trustworthy and the tainted. A bad score makes you untouchable. Friends turn away, employers disappear. Even helping the punished becomes an act of rebellion. In a country where compassion can lower your credit rating, kindness itself becomes contraband. Propaganda paints the erased as lazy or immoral. The truth? Many are victims of error, a typo, a missed bill, a false report. But that doesn't matter. Once the algorithm marks you, society looks away. Fear has become the new social contract. This is the perfect machinery of despair. Algorithmic punishment feeds poverty. Poverty triggers ideology. Ideology justifies punishment. A loop so tight that escape is impossible. And every day, more citizens fall into it. People who once had homes, careers, and futures, now sleeping under bridges of a system that still pretends to serve them. Across Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, the evidence is undeniable. Mothers cradle their children in subway stations. Grandparents beg at locked government gates. Young men scroll through frozen apps that no longer recognize their IDs. Hospitals reject patients flagged as restricted users. In a cashless country, losing digital access means losing the right to live. On the surface, the streets look calm. But the silence hides an epidemic of despair. Online forums whisper in code, "Is there a place left where the system can't find me?" Every unanswered message echoes with fear. Even acts of resistance, a group handing out blankets in Chengdu, a teacher posting a plea for mercy, are swiftly punished. Accounts frozen, names flagged, lives erased. Some of the untrustworthy are now sent to re-education shelters, work camps disguised as social aid centers, cameras on every wall, slogans on every bed. Work hard, restore trust. But there is no restoration, only submission. Private companies have joined the policing. Employers now demand proof of moral credit. If your score dips, you're unemployable. Factories, schools, hospitals, all bow to the same invisible number. A new caste system has been born, those who can live and those who cannot. And the emotional decay runs deeper than any economic chart. The fear of being erased has turned neighbors into strangers. It's not just the poor who suffer, it's the entire idea of community that's dying. When a society teaches people to fear compassion, humanity itself becomes obsolete. Every tent under a bridge, every frozen account, every child banned from school, these are not signs of collapse. They are signs of success. The system is working exactly as designed. What began as a promise of trust has evolved into a regime of fear. What was meant to guide morality now manufactures obedience. And the world is watching, not in pity, but in warning. Because the same tools that erase citizens in China are quietly spreading elsewhere, packaged as innovation, efficiency, or safety. The question is no longer what China has become. It's what the world is becoming. If a country can delete its people with a number, what happens when that number comes for us? When survival is reduced to a score, what's left of the soul?
In recent days, social media in China has been flooded with shocking and heartbreaking clips. Well-dressed young people wearing neat shirts and glasses that mark them as educated, bending down on the roadside, rummaging through plastic bags and trash bins, picking up plastic bottles, beer cans and cardboard to sell for a few spare coins. Many of them, when asked, calmly reply that they graduated from prestigious universities belonging to the so-called 985 or 211 projects. These institutions were once symbols of China's educational glory and the pride of families across the country. Yet now, such imagery is juxtaposed with handcarts of scrap and piles of refuse. The stark contrast raises the question: how did those once hailed as the model youth, the supposed pillars of the nation, end up in such destitution? For years, Beijing's propaganda machine has repeatedly declared that the country has reached a moderately prosperous society in all respects, a phrase officially translated as Xiaokong society, but reality, captured in viral videos, tells a very different story. Young people, especially the educated, cannot find jobs, cannot secure stable income, and some are reduced to scavenging waste to stay alive. The bigger question is whether this so-called prosperous era is nothing more than a beautifully painted porcelain vase, hollow and cracked inside. To understand why this phenomenon has provoked such fury and dismay, one must recall the meaning of China's two emblematic higher education projects, Project 211 and Project 985. Project 211, launched in 1995, aimed to upgrade around 100 key universities to meet the demands of modernization. Project 985, announced in 1998 by then-President Jiang Zemin at Peking University, sought to build a handful of world-class institutions. Within Chinese society, 985 and 211 became more than numbers; they were badges of honor attached to one's identity. Being admitted to a 985 or 211 university meant entering the ranks of the elite. Parents could proudly boast, while students themselves enjoyed advantages: better job prospects, higher chances of employment in government or state-owned enterprises, and elevated social standing. Institutions like Peking University, Tsinghua University, Fudan University, and Shanghai Jiao Tong were likened to Harvard, MIT, or Stanford. A common saying emerged: if you graduate from a 985, you can hold your head high; if not, keep your head down. In this way, a diploma from a 985 or 211 was treated as a golden ticket to the future. But when the economy falters, that golden ticket becomes just a worthless piece of paper. And the tragedy lies in the fact that those who invested their youth chasing it are now the most devastated by this reversal of fortune. The road to 985/211 admission is paved with sacrifice. Behind every student lies a family that has poured all its resources into education. The Gaokao, China's national college entrance exam, is considered a life-or-death battle. Millions of students spend years studying day and night, grinding through endless practice tests. Parents, whether factory workers or farmers, often take on debt to pay for expensive tutoring, clinging to the belief that admission to a 985 or 211 university guarantees a better life. Society reinforces this mindset. Degrees are the measuring stick of personal worth, and social stratification is explicit. Graduates of ordinary schools are looked down upon, while 985/211 students are paraded as the pride of the nation. This belief is so deeply ingrained that many parents hold just one dream: their child must enter a prestigious university, no matter the cost. Yet this absolute faith has now turned into bitter irony. When a 985/211 diploma no longer secures employment, entire families discover that their lifetime investment has been built on illusion. China's economy is sinking into a multifaceted crisis. The real estate sector, once nearly 30% of GDP, has collapsed. Industrial production is slowing. Foreign companies are exiting. Exports are shrinking. In this climate, the job market is virtually paralyzed. Companies are not hiring but laying off. Even Iron Rice Bowl government jobs cannot absorb the tidal wave of graduates. The result is mass unemployment among 985/211 alumni. On social media, terms like the unemployed army of 985 and the devaluation of diplomas trend constantly. Many graduates are forced into delivery work, retail jobs, customer service, or live stream sales. Some even scavenge waste, a line of work previously associated with the desperately poor or uneducated. For these young people, despair grows. Wages are low, jobs insecure, and dreams of marriage, family, and home ownership fade. What was once branded the China dream has morphed into a collective nightmare. In this bleak environment, new cultural phenomena have emerged. Lying flat, or tang ping, refers to abandoning competition, living minimally, and refusing to play the rigged game. A further step is rotting away, or bai lun, meaning total surrender to hopelessness. Another phrase, full-time children, or quang jie nu, describes young adults who live entirely off their parents, unable to achieve financial independence. Even more striking is the rise of zero-yun shopping, or ling yun gua, taking goods for free from trash bins or discarded stock at markets. Provinces like Guangdong, Henan, and Zhejiang have seen crowds of young people, even wearing graduation gowns, rummaging through waste at night markets for leftover food, bottles, and cans. Viral Douyin and Weibo videos show scenes of students elbowing each other by trash cans, painting a grim portrait of a country officially proclaimed as moderately prosperous. Chinese citizens are responding with outrage. Many mock the government's slogans, "Moderate prosperity for all, where is it?" Others compare today's plight to the Cultural Revolution, claiming this is a new sacrificed generation. Scholars and commentators openly criticize the regime. While young people go hungry, they are bombarded with propaganda about prosperity and greatness. This duplicity only deepens distrust. Beijing's response is censorship. Keywords like 985 unemployment, scavenging, or zero-yuan shopping are blocked. Videos of graduates picking through trash are quickly deleted. Yet once seen, these images cannot be unseen, and they continue to spread through underground channels. The growing resentment is like a dormant fuse, silent for now, but ready to ignite.